Hi, my name is Dr. Sayantani DasGupta, and I'm the author of She Persisted, Virginia Apgar. One of the most surprising things I learned about Dr. Virginia Apgar when writing her biography was that her 5-point scale that's still used all around the world by doctors and nurses to measure newborn babies' health was something she actually wrote down on the fly in a hospital cafeteria. Apparently, when a medical student asked her during breakfast what the best way was to evaluate a newborn baby's health, Dr. Apgar said, "That's easy. You do it like this," and scribbled down the 5 qualities that eventually became the world-famous Apgar score on the back of a card that told people in the cafeteria to bus your own trays. I kind of love this story because it shows how curious students can inspire their teachers to come up with new, important ideas. I also love this story because it's yet another example of how fast-thinking, fast-talking, fast-moving, curious, generous, and interesting Dr. Virginia Apgar was. What I'd like readers to take away from this biography is a love of learning, like Virginia Apgar had, as well as the courage and inspiration not to let setbacks get them down. Virginia Apgar has had an impact on almost every baby born in the world. In fact, to anyone watching this, if you were born in a hospital and your family still has the papers that you came home with, you'll see on those papers something called the Apgar score that will tell you how healthy doctors and nurses thought you were at 1 minute and 5 minutes of life. That's the legacy of Virginia Apgar. Yet, her family didn't have the money to send her to college or to medical school. She was lucky enough to find others to give her scholarships. When a mentor discouraged her from going into surgery, all because she was a woman, she slightly changed directions but kept on going. Virginia Apgar succeeded in medicine back when there weren't very many women around and things were pretty unfair for women doctors. But she persisted and persisted and persisted. Like Virginia Apgar, I'm a doctor too. In fact, as a pediatrician, a kids doctor, I felt the impact of Virginia Apgar's work every time I evaluated a newborn baby's appearance, their pulse, their reflexes, their activity, and their breathing, the 5 parts of the Apgar scale. I also happened to teach at the same university, Columbia, where Apgar herself trained and worked. And so I was able to go to the Columbia Health Sciences University Archives, a special section of the library, where they had all sorts of interesting documents, like Virginia Apgar's handwritten medical school application, essays and letters she had written, or that people had written about her, and so much more. Even though we didn't live at the same time, I felt like I was personally getting to know her as I sifted through all these wonderful documents, looking at black and white high school yearbook photos, or reading her words in her own handwriting. On a side note, librarians are really awesome people who can help you do research like this. I am so grateful to the librarians at the Columbia Archives who helped me research this project. I would love to meet Virginia Apgar. If I could, I would ask her how she did it all because she was so high energy. She wasn't just a doctor, she was an enthusiastic teacher and writer. She was a violinist who learned how to make stringed instruments and did so in her apartment late at night after she saw patients. She was a lover of life, taking flying lessons into her late 50s because she was determined to learn how to fly a small plane under the George Washington Bridge. She wasn't just smart and talented. Virginia Apgar was funny and kind, and exactly the sort of person I think I would have liked to be friends with. Being a part of the Persisterhood is such a joy because it means I'm in community with other women writers who are writing about women role models, writers who know how important it is to share these stories with modern readers. The saying goes, it's sometimes hard to be what you can't see. So if all the historic heroes we learn about in school are of one gender or one color or one nationality, that's not just unjust, it's untrue. I'm honored to be one of a community of writers who are celebrating some amazing heroines who succeeded because they persisted. They kept at it. They didn't give up. Because I think that's the message we'd like to pass on to our readers. All of you can be heroes too, helping others and changing the world, just like all the women in these biographies, just like Virginia Apgar.